Hello and welcome to the Gooners Podcast. Summer days, Mike. Happy July 4th to you.
Happy July 4th, kind of, to you. I don't know. Did you pick one side or the other this July 4th?
I think
you've been yapping your mouth about being English a lot lately, so...
I think I sent you the picture of my mom who decorated our backyard in just Union Jack flags.
Yeah, that was the second most offensive thing you could have done.
So I walked out and I went, "You're going to offend the neighbors." And she's like, "He's from England and he's English." And I went, "Oh, that's true." And then, but to one up it, she went to a party full of Americans and took the flags with her and hung them up there.
Yeah, she didn't get enough taking of the piss at your house. Speaking of taking the piss and English, not British, English.
Yeah,
we have with us Danny, the GFP. He is our podcast daddy. He is the if we were Marco Asensio, he would be Tom Canton because he discovered us and shared us with the world. Danny, thanks for joining us.
Me and myself, we're both glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me, and I love being here. It's great.
That sounded like a hostage video.
I've got Stockholm syndrome. Please, somebody save me. I'm blinking with where I am in code.
It looks like he's in a different room, but I have a floor beneath my basement where Danny is kept. Speaking of basements, Andy, I can't wait to see you next Wednesday. This time next Wednesday, I will be in your arms. It's going to be outstanding. Looking forward to it. This is where you cut in. And you're like, yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well.
I'm not looking forward to picking you up from the airport. I'm looking forward to seeing you.
Well, but the good part about picking me up from the airport is that me is there. So
he's but Daddy, this is what he says to me, right? He goes, "Can you pick me up from the airport?" I said, "Sure, no problem." He goes, "I can't wait to run into your arms." He thinks I'm actually going to park my car, get out, and walk in to meet him.
I'm actually not expecting you to even stop your car. It's just going to be rolling slowly.
You're going to call me, "Hey, it landed." Oh, that was today? Yeah, you're going to have to get an Uber.
I have this thing in where we're like at the baggage claim and we spot each other from across. Of course, we'll be at the complete opposite ends of the airport, and then we're just it's one of those deals.
Yeah,
the first thing you got to say to him, Andy, is, "Oh, Mike, you look so much younger, so much slimmer."
Yeah, I will. I will.
He's done a very good job.
And the camera adds 6 stone as well. So I'm actually. How
many cameras do you have on you?
Fuck you, man. I bought 3 extra cameras, and I guess that was a bad idea.
Oh, banter.
So it's going to be fun.
No, I am looking forward to it. It's going to be a great time. It's going to be
what I'm also looking forward to, and I want to take a little bit of time because we got a bunch of different updates to get.
And you might run him over at the airport.
Gooners versus cancer. It's taken off. I've spent basically the last 2 days where I haven't been at work just brainstorming and geeking out over different websites and stuff, and we're going big time with this. So there's a bunch of different ways you can participate, including some new ones that I've been sharing the word on Twitter, but really want to try to get these up and running. The first, of course, is goonersversuscancer.com. You can make straight donations directly to the LLS, Leukemia Lymphoma Society. They're tax deductible, any amount, no fees. We've had a really good response on that. We're already over 10% to our goal, and that's just from barely mentioning it. You can use super chats and donations, bruv, on YouTube. Beware that YouTube does keep like 40% of that. Is it, Danny? You guys are rolling in donations, but yeah. So if you're gonna do a donation of any significance and intend for it to go to Gooners versus Cancer, which it all will, just be aware that YouTube is going to keep it. So rather you go to the website. We're going to do summer tour raffles. One of us or both of us, Andy, are going to be in every city: Denver, LA, Charlotte, DC, and there's going to be events there, bar meets, parties, tailgating, and we're going to be selling raffle tickets for an outstanding prize. We've got the cooperation again this year of Sir Alan of Smith, who will be signing personally a retro 93-94 Arsenal home shirt from the year that we won the last European trophy that we have in our history. So you'll be able to pick the size, pick what you want Danny, will you also, it'll be signed by Alan Smith and Danny. Some of our donations just went, woo. It's a great prize. We're going to be giving one away in every city. So you can be there, you can donate. And then if you can't be at any of the games, there'll be a 5th shirt being given out online. So we'll have a website for that soon. T-shirts. We're going to have some T-shirts, Andy, I think.
We're working on it. We are working on it. We will have them. We're
going to have them. We're going to be modeling them. I'm going to be wearing a women's size small so that you can see how the nipples look.
It's important.
And we'll be wearing them at the events. They'll be for sale. All the proceeds, as with any of this stuff, go directly to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And a couple other things that I'll mention in a little bit. I want to break it up a little bit so that it's not all Gooners versus cancer, but there's some cool stuff coming up. So, guys, first of all, I want to wish a very massive thank you, speaking of which, to @Lacazette. It's LACAZTE. This guy is an absolute master at brand designing, logos, art in general. And he was kind enough to donate some of his time and put up with me, which is not easy to do, and created our logo, created some art for the T-shirt. So just want to thank people who have been putting in their time and effort for making this thing kick off. So Arsenal stuff. Last week we had our new friend Turkish on the pod to discuss the big protest that he was going to have at the kit release on Monday morning. I got to say, I know what he's trying to do. I can appreciate the fact that his messaging really kind of shifted away from the spend some fucking money thing to the other issues that he has with Stan Kroenke. But Andy, it didn't look like the protest really had the intended effect, did it?
I think it had the effect everyone, including Turkish, assumed it would have. I don't think they thought they would get hundreds of people. I think if we talked to Turkish today offline, he would probably echo the embarrassment of having that fat fuck with the stupid ass WWE belt jumping around with a little fucking tiny megaphone.
Danny, did you see that guy? I mean, if the intent of the thing was to have some guy named Colin Newell, aka the fake wannabe shitty Heavy D, just make an absolute bell end out of himself to gain attention. And dude, if you're going to protest ownership and try to force the owner out by boycotting or protesting or shouting angry things about him and his history and just make an absolute scene outside the kit release party, fine. But don't do it 5 minutes after you fucking just dropped 80 quid on a brand new kit.
Exactly.
I mean, it did not take long for people to pick up on the Adidas symbol on the new brand new shirt that he had that he was wearing while he talked about his hate. Danny, did you catch this shit?
I was on mute because Sean was thumping around when wearing her ABW stuff. About your thing you're doing, you said what can I do, and I offered you a pair of Arsenal socks from the 93-94 season. So
you didn't. You said you had a pair of old socks. You didn't say they were Arsenal socks. I mean, I'm imagining these were just going to be picked up off your floor.
Sean,
and I'm thinking, well, that's good. I'll take them up.
White socks that are in there. Yeah,
well, I wasn't going to put those in the auction because, I want this for myself.
Unworn. I'll still send you my monthly supply of my used socks, but I love what you're doing with that canned stuff. And some of those gifts you've got. Who's that?
We're going to talk about the auction in a few minutes.
Oh, wow. I've looked at that auction off because you made us use that site for it. And one of those gifts, you should get about $1,000 for that on one of those, hopefully. Yeah, but if you need me to do anything like the judges do, I'll ring up and I'll do some ASMR for anybody who wants it.
All right, so let's stay on topic here, Dan. We're talking about the protest. Did you see slightly overweight D? Oh, there they are. Warned, but they've been out of the package for 27 years.
That's it, they have. Yes, I did see.
They have been warned.
Oh, are we going to get the model? Those are socks?
Why is it all crusty?
Shh. Special sock for special occasions. There's only one of them. The other one died.
Why are you letting your daughter touch that? Does she know where to fit
in that Ottoman for the last 27 years, trying to get out. We beat it with a stick if it gets out. Yes, trying to keep back to what you were saying. Yes, I did see it. And I think everything he does is attention seeking, but it's all slightly tongue in cheek. I think he knows what he's doing, like a lot of these people that do that kind of stuff. Whereas I really like Turkish. He's a really interesting bloke. He's got lots of good stuff to say, and he's really good on your show. And I think if he'd have had it all of his way, it'd have been done a lot better. And it just needs, remember the BSM and people like that from 5 or 6 years ago, they're the ones that need to get involved. And if they get involved, then the club are going to be in trouble because they organise stuff properly with massive organisation, massive loads of people involved. They do media campaigns. And remember when Raj was talking to us about it, he said outside the stadium they had one of those massive big advertising hoardings and they realised no one had got it. So the BSM went and hired the advertising boarding outside the Emirates and put up a thing saying Kroenke out, whatever it was at the time, and they got it for a 6-month contract. So even Kroenke couldn't get rid of it for 6 months. That's the kind of stuff you're dealing with when you mess with the BSM, and that's what we need to see.
Yeah, I mean, it just he played it off very well as, you know, this was never really intended to be a huge thing. It's just you have to start small, and you know, we just want to be heard and give people an opportunity. I mean, you know, it isn't this angry. Well, it is a little angry, but it wasn't like this self-imposed "we are the voice of the Arsenal fan" type of thing, which is the only saving grace behind it. But I mean, I don't really think that was going to have any, you know, any impact on Stan Kroenke whatsoever, other than to embolden him to have control. Andy, I think I kind of ripped the thought out of you while you were mid-sentence before.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's never going to make an impact. I couldn't find, and maybe I just wasn't looking correctly, couldn't find any massive like media coverage of the shirt release. You know, they didn't make any commercials out of it. So a group of 30 people are going to go unheard. As Danny said, if you really want to get the right people involved to get your voice heard, those are the channels. I just think it's hilarious that he bought the shirt and then protested Kroenke. It's just
maybe he was trying to pull your deal where we post stuff on Twitter that is intentionally wrong and stupid just to get
I don't know.
See people freak out. Maybe he's got a little of you in him.
Yeah,
maybe he will the next time you go over.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just very bizarre to me that all happened. But you know what? I think the shirts look really good, and I just got an email saying mine are en route to my house. So pretty excited to get those, Mike.
Mine is probably going to come like the morning after I leave for Denver. So it's going to be sitting.
You're going to have to overnight it to you.
Well, I thought it would be shipped a little sooner than it was. So in any case, I may be just, you know, nude for the whole tour because that was all I was going to bring. So we have a user question. We're going to interject a user question from the lovely and talented Becca, who asks in her typical, very dainty and delicate way, who the fuck is Gabriel Martinelli? That was the question from Becca. And my answer is, if you don't know, you better ask somebody. And frankly, I think that's kind of what she just did. Gabriel Martinelli. I got this Facebook group that I'm a part of, and I swear to God, I don't think this was a joke. The guy says, typical Arsenal, everybody else is signing world-class players, and we just picked up Gabriel Marcotti on a free. I swear I don't think the guy was joking, because some of his follow-ups seemed like he didn't understand what was funny about that. Gabriel Marcotti. But from the fan reaction to this guy, you'd think some of them actually would prefer we had signed Gabby. What do you think?
It's Andy? Our fan base, Mike. You know, we hear complaints we didn't sign Dele Alli or we never found him. And if we did, and we bought him, he come from Leyton Orient for a few £1 million. We would complain about that.
Muhammad.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, you know what? We have a young Brazilian that a lot of people appear high on. I don't know much about him. I think the review Canton did from the Gooner Talk was superb. I think that all those breakdowns Tom's doing are fucking brilliant. But you just have to wait and see. It's hard for Brazilians to hit the ground running in the Premier League, and it always has been. But we have, for some reason, had 4 or 5 Brazilians who have done very well at Arsenal. So let's hope he follows that mold. And I think, Danny, maybe this was during the time Mike wasn't really, you know, up on the hour, but Silvinho was maybe the one Brazilian we had that only stuck around for a couple years, but still made a pretty good impact.
Denilson.
He had the dodgy passport, didn't he?
Yeah.
Silvino. That's why we had to quickly get rid of him. As soon as we found out, we loaned him out to Celta Vigo, and then flogged him to might have been Barcelona or
I think it was
something like
Barcelona. I think it was Barcelona.
We've actually this is our 15th Brazilian that has been at Arsenal in all over the years. Quite a few of them have come through like he has, and come for a few million quid and done nothing and left. A couple of them then went off to play in MLS. Yeah, but it's interesting that they're going to get him. They're saying that he's got 6 goals in 14 games, but that is the pre-season in Brazil. They just get all of the they have the normal season, and before the normal season they have the pre-season. But their pre-season, they don't go around and play teams all over the world like we do. They get all the teams from that area, and they're the one he's in the area is called the Paulista League, and that's where you play your. Oh, bloody, I've got it the wrong way around again, haven't I? The gist of it is, remember Juninho that was at Middlesbrough? Mm-hmm. That's who's in charge of the club. Oh. And so when when they put them all in the Paulista League where they're playing against the big teams, he hasn't played any games. But when he's playing in the 4th division of Brazilian football, that's where he scored 6 in 14. And if he would have played in some of the Paulista games, it would be a bit like Arsenal, Spurs, Chelsea, Barnet, Leyton Orient, Brentford. That's the equivalent of the Paulista League. But the big teams don't take it seriously. But he hasn't played any of those, so he hasn't come up against any big opposition that I know of. Because
did Gabriel come from the Paulista League?
Oh no, I've got it the wrong way around. It's the other. He did play in the Paulista League. I'm just looking at Wikipedia here. I was right the first time I was saying it. No, so when he has played in that league, that's when he did play against them.
And what I found interesting was that he was in the Copa America squad when they started their training, and then they cut it down. So you don't get into that squad if you're a bullshit player.
They like to bring them along though if they see they got some talent, doesn't it?
Yeah. So he's young, so if they pulled a squad of 35 and then whittled it down to 24 or 26 or whatever it is, he's on the threshold of the Brazilian national team, which is quite impressive. Or the coach just said, "Hey, as a young kid, I want to see more of him." But either way, to even get to that point, you gotta give this kid some due respect. So I'm excited for him, Mike.
We'll couldn't go worse than Sonogo. Honestly, so.
He scored 4 goals in the game once. How dare you?
He could be the Brazilian Sonogo, which wouldn't be good. I want to say hello to the chat briefly. We got Gooner Taj. Not sure if he stuck around. He was here an hour early, as were you, Danny, and Nikki Wilson. David Ziegler, of course, is in the chat, just pumping out. He's just pumping out those user questions. Fredo's here.
Fredo's at work. Shouldn't he be working?
We don't want his work to find out. Michael Hernandez is in the chat. Good to see you. Andy R. with a little blue wrench next to him. We got to get rid of that guy. Yeah, Lori Ziegler is here, which shows that David does sometimes have companionship. And then we have, what's his name? Thunder Road, who I'm not recognizing who that is, but I have a feeling there's a different name on Twitter. Thunder Road asked you a question, Danny, which is going to get him killed. Does the GFP have any tips for Mike since his only daughter is now off to uni?
Yeah, make the most of it.
Tips about accepting she may be doing walks of shame. Do we need to ask Sean right now how to handle that, or would that be a little awkward?
She's the mummy of the house because she's a year older than all the rest of them. So all she does is do the washing up, the cleaning, make their beds, and then she goes to bed at 8 o'clock every night. She's not been drunk once in 2 years.
Well, yeah, neither have I. And then he asked a question: have you reached out to Emmanuel Frimpong to get him as a guest? And that's why I think he might be someone else on Twitter, because someone did suggest that to us. I have actually, because that was a great idea. I would love to get Frimmy on this podcast. I think it would actually be perfect. See if I can get him and that dude Frimpong on at the same show. It'd be pretty amusing. But and Fredo says Danny loves getting Brazilians. We won't ask for visual evidence of that. Thunder Road will be in Charlotte, so I'll see you there. All right. Tierney, Zaha, Vasquez from Madrid, which I just saw. That was rubbish a few minutes ago. Fekir, Mavila, Benzema. Any comments? You want to spend any time talking about any other people we're linked with, or do we want to stick with our we're not going to talk about you until you're here thing? And because it just popped into my mind, it's after July 1st. Does Edu work for us yet? Edu?
I think he joins up after
the Copa,
and I believe Brazil are in the final.
Yeah, they're in the final against Peru.
Is that tomorrow? Yeah.
Tomorrow at 4 Eastern.
Yeah, so I'm guessing early next week if it's true, that's when he'll be with us. So
and if it's not true, then we have no people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of weird. This Tierney deal seems to like everyone. I mean, the mole is saying 100% done.
Held on, so I mean,
so
I get him.
Start buying the kit now because the mole said so. Danny, are you the mole?
He's a mole. He's not the mole.
I am the mole. I'm the sports mole. I am the mole, and I live in a hole.
Gerby has yet to confirm Tierney, and he, he's not always the first, but he's the right. He gets it right. So, by the way, a couple of weeks ago, Molly, I was in some argument with somebody. I think it was the Podcast Judge, and I set up a site called the Podcast Judge to judge podcast judges. But in doing that, he aligned with Molly, who made a massive announcement that I was Gerby. I'm like, dude, you are the only person that did not know that already. I've been Gerby for 3 years, and I got tired of it because I actually have things to do. But it was like his crowning achievement. It's like, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Football Gerbil. It's Mike from the Gooners Podcast. Yeah.
So we know who the mole is. We just need to figure it out.
You think you do. I was actually talking to somebody today. I won't say who, but it was somebody that I've been communicating with a lot lately. Who is buddies with the mole and doesn't really know who he is either. And I don't know how you can be buddies with somebody who you have absolutely
I get blocked by him and then unblocked, and then I'm blocked and I'm unblocked.
I get blocked, but I have like 39 Twitter accounts, so I can see what everybody's up to.
Yeah.
So any of those people, I think we had a user question as well from...
It's probably Ziegler, just say it.
No, it was one of the ones that wasn't from Ziegler. It was from Christian, 312 Gooner from Chicago. Which ones of the 8,437 players that we've been linked to does Arsenal have legit interest in? And of those, which one excites you the most? Danny, I'll go to you on that first.
Well, the one that excites me the most is Fekir, because if you see the stuff that he did with Lyon, he was the one who made Lacazette look magical. You know the way people always think Thierry Henry is the magical player? If it weren't for Dennis Bergkamp, Thierry Henry wouldn't have looked half the player that he was. But there's also been, he missed part of last season because he had an injury, but I think he's played 130 games in 3 seasons. Like people are saying Thierry's injury prone as well, but he's played 170 games in 4 seasons. And so I think Tierney's brilliant.
Did that start when he was 12?
Tierney didn't get Player of the Year this year, but the last 3 years before that, he got the Scottish Writers Young Player, the Scottish FA Young Player, the Celtic Supporters Players, the Young Player. So that was 9 awards he got in a row, but last season he was injured. So
did Brendan Rodgers put a picture of him up on his wall?
Yeah, he probably had that. He had it printed on his underpants. But yeah, that's the one we need. And like Andy was saying, go and just look at some of the stuff that Tom does and some of the stuff that Harry Seymour does. That's the only 2 things I watch now, apart from you Muppets. And so it's going to be Fekir, Tierney, and who was the other one? One of the other ones we're looking at. I can't think of any of the others.
If Fekir signs, and you decide to have a nice weekend down in Plymouth, will you have to take a canoe to get to Chris's house to get through all the seamen?
Well, I think Chris will be hiding a canoe in his underpants if Fekir does run. What are the other ones that we've been linked with?
I have heard of is Saliba? Is that who you're thinking of?
I've got no idea who that is.
It's
easier that way.
Would it be? Yeah, I mean the completely forgot what I was talking about. Who are we talking about again?
Targets.
He does seem to be a bit damaged goods, but then again, so is everybody once they get to Arsenal anyway. And you do have to think in terms of the hookup and the link up when you put 2 guys together. I mean, Lacazette and Aubameyang's chemistry through friendship and teamship is already outstanding. I have a feeling that Fekir would fit right into that.
Well, he was meant to go to Liverpool last season, wasn't he? It was all but done, and he failed the medical, and that was a £60 million deal. I think now he's 1 year closer to his contract expiring and leaving on a free, and there doesn't seem to be very many other teams that want him. And I think, imagine the bromance of Aubameyang, Lacazette, and Fekir.
Oh, I mean, if they could just stop, if they just avoid fucking the whole game, we could score a ton of goals.
I mean, if we can afford it, and we got Fekir, and then there's
Zaha
limit that. Well, but the other rumors is that Malcom might come on loan from Barcelona with an option to buy. I mean, imagine that, 30 million for those two players, and we've got our wing sorted. And Zaha, what, cost 60 to 80? I mean, I'd take those two players over Zaha any day.
I don't want Zaha at all.
No.
I don't either.
So I think we're all in agreement with that.
Oh, Ziyech is the other one we're looking at.
Yeah,
the Ajax
Ziyech.
winger.
Oh, I would love to have him, but it just for whatever reason there's just absolutely no interest from Arsenal on him.
No, and maybe there could be, we just don't know. But the Malcom deal seems to be gaining ground, because if rumors are led to be true, they're going to have Griezmann. It sounds like Neymar might be on his way back there. So God knows,
it's
what's
ridiculous.
happen,
The game they're playing, and I don't mean on the pitch, I mean off the pitch, is just different than any game anyone else is playing. And if you judge what we are not doing by what they are, I'm sorry, but just
it's a different world. It's just a different world. But you know what, Mike? The crazy thing is you always hear Arsenal can't attract people because we have no Champions League football. Bullshit. Every season it's bullshit. And then as you've been saying the whole time, the £40 million budget is bullshit, because we're linked with players that have access of 120 million in the transfer window, and Tierney alone would be half of that fee. And it seems like he's done. I mean, a lot of people are reporting it being finished. So
let's be real. It's as speculative to say that we're linked with any of these players as it was to say that we had a $45 million budget,
right?
£45 million budget. So none of it makes any bit of a difference at this point. I still have my feelings of how it will end. I am with every passing week getting a little more nervous about it, but we'll have to see. We really don't have that much to point to as being concrete right now. And I guess as soon as the tournaments end, which is Sunday on all of them, including the Women's World Cup, we'll see which ones of those that we get. And we'll start to see some action really start to happen, I think, next Tuesday or Wednesday.
I do love there's a tweet from, I forget who it was, but it's something like sums up Arsenal with, we're going to spend 70 million on Zaha when we could get him Titty for 50 million. That's truly the player we need. I mean, it's totally
apparently only going for 55 or 60, which I thought it was closer to 80, but 55 for De Ligt. Yeah. And knowing that by the end of his contract, if we have to sell him after 3 or 4 years, he's going to be 22 years old at that point. I mean, does he want to come to Arsenal? Does he want to play with Ronaldo and Ramsey and be one of the next great Juve center backs? I guess that is something that we don't really have to offer.
Yeah.
So getting back to Gooners versus Cancer, the two other things that we're doing that I'm excited about. One, just announced a fundraising event here in Northern Virginia, DC area, at our home pub in Arlington, Virginia. 4 courts in Arlington, Virginia. I just want to give a big thanks to Dave and the rest of the crew there. They support us, and they're showing it by hosting an event that day. It's the day we play Liverpool away, so we might need something to ease the pain of that game. But we're going to be raising money, doing a raffle or a giveaway or something like that, and the pub's going to match everything that we raise with a $1,000 cap. So we have the potential to really make a huge dent in our goals that day. And then the newest thing, Danny, this is what you were talking about, a brand new auction. We got at goonerauction.com. And if you try to do www.goonerauction and it doesn't work, just do goonerauction.com without the www. But we currently have 17 items available for bid, and there could not be more differing in the quality of the items. We got a lot more coming down the road, but some of them are incredibly valuable items. Like we have the great Jack Stevenson, who's donated 2 front row club level seats to any Arsenal game this season. I've sat in them; they're amazing, and those are going to go for a lot. I certainly hope they're the fair value for those. But there's everything from that. There are canvases of the clock end of Highbury from historic grounds. There's a video from Gunner blog where he's going to be creating or singing a football chant themed video to someone of your choosing. It can either be in their support or as a complete piss take on them. but I'm sure he'll add his comedic take to that. We got Gav from SheWar, one of your fellow ABWers, chipping in a clock end watch. We have a couple of membership packs from the last year at Highbury and the first year at Emirates, which are in good condition. There's some interesting memorabilia in there. Some books. We got lead judges pronouncing players' names just for you, a starting 11, and some of the sillier experiences, things that Andy and I are going to do with or to each other for money, because we are not above whoring ourselves out for money. For charity, that is.
Yep.
So the one that I can't get Andy to do involves licking feet. He wouldn't do that.
That's where we're gonna hard pass.
Yeah, we're gonna do that. But check out goonerauction.com. Please bid early and often. There are some things that we got to do next week if we're gonna do them. So hopefully those will go first. If you're gonna give money to charity, you can at least get a good laugh out of it by bidding on those items. And Danny, we're gonna get you to do some things. What would it take? How much donations would we have to get to have you shave that beard?
£1 million. You're not including my sock in that listing. What's going on? That deserves a page all of its own. If I can find the other one.
The only way I'll put that sock on the auction is if the sock comes to the recipient filled with your beard. It's just full of hair. Oh, it's like a balloon, except with hair instead of air inside.
That's disgusting.
So that's off the table?
No, but what we can do the same joint podcast live show we did last time, and when we
publicity will be off the charts,
and all the money we get from that podcast, we can just give all that to you as well. I think last year our lot managed to raise £70 from that one show.
Yeah, that was fantastic. You guys were fantastic. Same Old Arsenal was also fantastic with that. And those sort of things. I'm sure once the season gets up and running, the campaign goes till the end of September. So first 5 or 6 weeks of the season are about Gooners versus Cancer, and a little bit about Arsenal as well. We'll definitely do that, and I appreciate your offering. So thanks again to everybody that so far has donated, everyone that is or will bid or give to us. Got some karaoke. Michael and Becca, we do have some karaoke situations on the stunts area of the website. And of course, thank you, Andy, for being supportive, helping out with a lot of the technical stuff, using our airwaves and tarnishing our good name to promote this cause. Although I think it's actually the other way around. We're trying to preserve our good name by doing this. But thank you. And it's a good idea, Fredo. I just don't know whether this is worth anything to anybody, but are you raffling a guest spot on the pod to answer David's user questions? I think we should and can look into doing that. So the summer tour starts next week. I leave in 5 nights. I can't focus on life or work or anything. I haven't even been able to watch as much porn as I usually do. I'm buzzing. Actually, I buzzed in a little early there because porn is not an English thing. It's going to be like a 2-week-long party and fun fest. There will be some games, but really that tends to be less for me anyway about what it's like. You ready to be indoctrinated into the inner circle, Andy? Ready for some inner circle AF?
No, I'm going to look from outside of that inner circle, Mike, and then I'm probably going to just pee on it. Frankly, I'm not going to get...
You're not going to wear like a jetpack and like...
I'm not going to let.
Well, if you're going to pee on it, that's the inner circle.
If anyone wants to bid on me peeing on the inner circle, all donations are welcome for Gooners versus Cancer.
And we're not gonna go into any detail about what the inner circle is.
I'll go into detail, Mike.
No, not on the pod.
So it's going to be a lot of fun, and so Danny, Mike, and I got
we got it. This is amazing.
I mean, so I come to Mike with ideas.
2 months ago,
Mike comes back and accepts about 10% of them, and
that's not true. That is not true.
No, it is. So what? Because most of them are
You're
stupid.
projecting because it's the other way around. But
I totally think that most of them are stupid. But Danny, we signed up for media passes for the tour, and we got them yesterday. Mike never calls me, and my phone's ringing, and
I don't call my mom, so yeah, I call your mom more than I call my mom.
I'm like, this is important. He's like, dude, check your email. And we got media passes, so we're gonna be in.
They must be desperate. There's no one else turned up.
They must be.
I heard Jason turned one down.
What did I say yesterday? That either they really they really understood our appeal to the media environment and our special Arsenal take, or they've given these out to literally everybody that's asked. And I think I gave an example of somebody that probably also got one, but because I can't remember who it is.
Everywhere, pitch side.
We don't know yet. We don't know yet. And of course, in case they're watching this, it isn't surprising. We are.
Yeah. This isn't our first rodeo.
Yeah.
I assume we get press conference and then maybe player interviews, but we have.
You can go, hello, you right?
Yeah, I'm like Andy. Do I need to pack some suits now because I'm not going full kit wanker into these press conferences.
My mom's gonna be, that's going to be a riveting interview of you just weeping at the Arsenal player as they walk past.
You're not going to turn up with 2 or 3 WWE belts wrapped around you. Actually, you probably own one of them, don't you, Mike?
No, I don't know. My son does, but I don't.
Nick that. Go dressed in that.
So that's actually my weight loss goal is to fit into one of those belts because he clearly couldn't. Overweight
my thought for the media passes would be, instead of asking questions, I mean, it would be kind of fun if we asked them some silly questions, but we would do some because we'll have a camera with us. We'll just do some silly stuff with them. So I think it'd be like the Harry Potter bean game. Get the players to do that and see if they would be down for just like being silly on camera. Because most of the time, Mike, these guys are getting asked the same questions. I think they're going to find it refreshing when they see the two of us wearing Gooners versus Cancer T-shirts, being like, "We're the Gooners Podcast. We're going to do something silly with you for 5 minutes," and then they walk away. And then
just remember that if we do that, now the media stuff is only for the ICC games. So as far as I know, the first one is LA. So if we blow that in LA, and I can just see myself getting to Charlotte and then being like, "We've revoked your media."
Well, I'm not going to Charlotte, so I don't give.
Yeah, I know, but okay. I'm glad that you support me in my endeavors. David can give us questions to ask them. I will accept 200 questions, and I will probably be able to ask them 1 or 2. But no, I mean, we really don't know exactly.
Have genuine things we could do if we get to meet the players. We want to do something different. Yeah, right. Let us know, and we'll give you credit when we're talking to them or whatever. So yeah, we'll figure it out. But it's gonna be we're gonna try and have some fun with it, as much fun as we can, right?
Yeah, and we really don't even know what it involves yet. There's still a lot of details to be worked out. So I'll probably do 140 hours of preparation over the next week, and then we're gonna have the players are gonna go by on a monorail, and we can take a picture of them or something like that, and that's it. But we'll see. Just stay tuned to our YouTube channel over the next few weeks.
I think the one thing it does say in there is you can't ask for autographs.
Well, I wouldn't do that in that position anyway. I mean, they ask me for autographs, not the other way around. So they asked me for an autographed bell, which in fact we are giving away in our auction because you want one of those. Nikki Wilson asks if it's baseball cap baldness day, as the 2 oldest of us are hiding something, I believe.
He's so true. That's exactly why I'm wearing it. I haven't done my hair when I look about 90.
Yeah, I'm wearing mine because I didn't bother to brush it when I woke up today. What little hair I have left. So
I'm not, because I've got luscious locks.
Yes, you're still you're sitting there with your incredible jeans and your.
I can actually afro my hair if it grows out very long. Like if I had a pick, I could.
Well, if somebody bids on Mike and Andy nair their arms and their legs and the hair remove them smooth and clean, just be careful and wash your hands before you do that action again with your head.
Oh, dude, my hair's so thick I could nair it and it'd still have luscious locks to run this.
That sounds like something that $50 could find out for Gooners versus Cancer. So, David, we'll ask that afterwards about the Socrates.
Fredo, so now you've officially recognized. So now that you're officially recognized media, thank you. How soon before you start your own in the know shit transfer rumors?
We've already done that.
Is Andy wearing makeup? Nikki, I'm not, but I can be if I need to. And Fredo,
it doesn't need to.
Fredo, if you rewind back to about 15 minutes ago when Mike revealed he is Gerbil.
As if anyone didn't already know that. All right, so we got user questions. We got a ton, and we have a raft of questions from David Ziegler. But I'm going to get to the poor souls who would otherwise get who David was trying to push out of the picture by dominating the user question situation. So from you, Danny, before we knew you would be joining us on this podcast, if I had my own podcast and I secretly wanted to kill one of my lot, so your podcast would have to have something like, 20 to 22 people in your lot. How would you do it, and what would you do with the body, and should we defend more?
I would hire Ozil to do it because he can get away with murder.
But he'd miss every shot, wouldn't he? And then he wouldn't even turn up for half the murders.
Yeah.
It's like, why are all of my podcast mates still alive? Oh, back spasm. Sorry. All right, that was good from Mike Hernandez. Do you believe the mainstream media,
which is us?
It is us. So I hope.
Be careful, Mike. What you say?
Yeah, watch it. You might lose your most valuable user trophy. Billionaire owners, mainstream media, billionaire owners. Which again, Andy, your FM19 stuff this week. So far he's 2 for 2. And FIFA Generation. Do you play FIFA, Andy?
I have it. I don't really play it.
He's too mature for that.
Danny got mad at me when I Instagrammed a picture of my living room and he saw my
So we found the one thing he's too mature for.
Yeah, and then because I didn't share my username with Danny, I don't even know how to find it. He got mad at me.
So like Danny was ignoring us for 3 weeks. All right, so
blocked us.
So I changed this question around a little bit. Which of those three, the mainstream media, billionaire owners, and FIFA Generation, has most caused the unrealistic expectation in how fans think clubs should operate in the transfer market?
I definitely think it's FIFA.
I think that's the big. I actually tend to agree with that, just because people think that not so much the prices and the huge purchases, but just the ease in which these things happen is really kind of overblown.
Because Danny, I think you play FM19. You can parachute payment, but there's a lot that goes into it, and you can't just click buy a player and then it happens. I mean, you've really got to work through. You've got to have the money readily available.
The new contracts they work on are a pain in the ass.
Oh yeah, and then you have to go to the contracts, and if you can't meet what the player demands are or the agent demands, you're fucked. So
I think they got right on that game is their players are greedy bastards.
100%. I know you hate when people say it, Danny, but
that's realistic at least.
Yeah.
All right, so
can I answer that question quickly?
Yeah, I was about to go to you.
Okay, cheers. I think
Danny, what do you think the answer is to that question?
Oh, thanks for asking, Mike. I think the worst thing it has done is the FIFA one, because Chris Carpenter plays FIFA and he plays the tactical side of it, building and running a club, and he thinks he can do it in real life. And if anybody's seen the Barbican Pirates, we know he bloody can't.
Yeah,
it's costing thousands of pounds every year.
Didn't they get relegated to like the Plymouth League 12 or something like that?
They got relegated in his first season, and then now he's in the bottom league. And he finishes about halfway. Oh, look at that. Some ABW merchandise behind me.
Oh, look at that. Look at your product placement.
Yeah, I told it to stand there. No boots, child.
Product. All right. I'm sorry. I didn't say that. All right. Next question. Yeah, the FIFA Generation, I think. But in a close second behind that, I would say the billionaire owners, just because we got one or two clubs who really do conduct their transfers like FIFA and FM19. So, all right. I think this is where the David Ziegler questions begin. If it guaranteed we won the 2020 FA Cup, not the league, not the Champions League, would you be willing to give an unassisted back crack and sack wax to an angry and uncooperative Socrates?
Oh, easily.
Danny, don't mute yourself during this because we need to hear the laughter.
It's the bit that made me laugh is the uncooperative. Be like trying to shave a fucking Wookiee. It'd be almost impossible. As quick as you're ripping it off, it's.
Can you do a Wookiee noise? Can anyone here do that? I can't.
Hey?
Can anyone do a Wookiee noise? I know there are people that are really good at it, but I can't.
Can anybody here do a Wookiee noise? I'm not sure.
Okay, that was
someone tried.
I hope someone got that. I hope someone turned that into a sound file that we can have. All right, sorry. Go ahead. Would you be willing?
Yeah, of course I would. What, for your lot? Do anything? Oh no, it's for the 2020 FA Cup. As long as we can guarantee that they'll give 10 grand to your charity, then I'll do it.
Becca can do a Wookiee noise. We gotta get it. Her text it to us, and we can put it on air.
She makes my favorite noises. All right, Andy, would you be doing this?
Oh, 100%. I think it would be so funny to try and have that get done.
But I mean, like the having to hold him down and like he'd be like what is it called when you have rabies or whatever, full blown rabies,
foaming at the mouth, scratching at your eyes.
Yeah. I mean, Socrates angry and uncooperative. I don't want any part of. What possible new Starbucks drink of the following four would you be most likely to order and why?
Oh, these are going to be terrible.
Pumpkin spice latte, caramel fisted macchiato, salted chapstick macchiato, and tall, extra hot, extra wet, double dirty Oprah. Andy?
Who's this question from?
It's from David Ziegler, of course. We could just make that a rhetorical question if you'd like.
All the above? I guess I'll go with the Oprah one.
Tall, extra hot, extra wet, double dirty okra. Oprah. You can have Oprah with a side of okra. All right, Danny. Because we know that you don't like to get down in the dirt and grow, and because we know that your young impressionable daughter is nearby, we won't have you answer that question. However, we will have you answer. What's the most awkward thing that's ever happened to you with a significant other, not including your current one, Danny?
Who do you ask that to?
You're the one. You're named Danny, right?
Right. I've got someone yabbering him. I've got one tit in the corner burping like a fermenting Wookiee. I've got another tit trying to use my credit card, and now she's what's wrong? So you just told me it wasn't fucking working. She typed the fucking number in wrong.
We are so losing this media.
There in the corner like a little angel, and she's the bloody Liverpool fan. Jeez. Well, ask me the question again, and shut up, you twats. Apart from Anna.
All right.
Go on.
What's the most awkward thing that's ever happened to you with a significant other, not including your current one? Oh, have you had one?
No, none. I think the only time my credit card was denied.
Okay. All right, Andy, have you had it? I mean, you've only ever been with your wife, right? And you can't and you can't use Chris, so.
I'm trying to think of something, man. I can't.
Yeah, nothing. I mean, awkward things don't happen. Maybe it was when Steph caught you and me like whispering to each other on the phone at 3:00 in the morning. But other than that, nothing awkward has ever happened to me.
I guess my parents walked in once.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I almost. Well, no, I can't. I can't even go there.
Yeah, no. I think my stepmom did, and then my dad, when I got home, she was like yell at me, like high fived.
The first what was almost my first time and suddenly became not my first time. My dad walked in. We had lied to him and went back to what we thought was going to be an empty apartment. And God rest his soul, I think this actually sped things up for him. But and he just decided to maybe check out his apartment, see if anyone was there. Walks into the apartment, and it was right before the situation was getting ready to happen. And then I had to wait another 2 years. So, finally, by the time I was 38, it happened finally. But yeah, I'd say that was pretty embarrassing. Okay, here comes the question. Danny, I'm going to you with this first. If your mom and your wife switched bodies, this is obviously Arsenal related, as is everything that we do. If your mom and your wife switch bodies and you had to have sex with one of them in order to switch them back, who do you choose?
I'm knackered because I'm not married.
Well, just pretend you are.
Can I be married to a man?
Your mom and Andy's available.
That's not really help the situation. Can I be married to an animal? No.
So you're either having sex with what looks like your mom, knowing that it's your wife's personality and that it's her in there, or you're having sex with what looks like your wife, but you know your mom is actually having all the feels.
If you're going to go in, can I go all in and say all three of us at once?
Oh, God. Yeah, if you can't be sure whether you're doing the right thing or the wrong thing, just be sure that you're not doing
No
just
one's
the wrong.
hump, are they? If one's included. If you do it in the dark.
Now, Andy is one of the few people who actually has the opportunity on a daily basis to do this because the three of them live in one happy household.
I'm just thinking that there is an opportunity for you and I.
Upstairs or downstairs?
There is an
for you
opportunity.
and I to have a.
Just hold on a second. There is
like
an opportunity for you and I
to test this out.
Maybe the slightest chance to have one of the greatest players to ever put an Arsenal shirt on come on the podcast. And the one thing that he has told the mutual people we know, I'll take a listen and see if I want to join. And now we're going to these questions.
Look, my personal viewpoint is we is who we is.
We is who we is, I get that. But this is ridiculous.
I told you to put the Alan Smith podcast in front of them so that you need to learn how to steer because we only do this like once out of every like 1.5 podcasts. So all right. Nikki Wilson says, "Fuck me, I wish Arsenal had signed somebody to save me from this horror show." Yeah, I think we're gonna have to slim this down to just about another 5 or 6 minutes. But so was that your way of not answering this question, Andy? I thought you were going in a completely different direction because I'm coming to stay with you in 5 days, and I thought you were going to tell me what we had an opportunity to do vis-a-vis this question.
Yeah, hard pass.
Okay. Is Batman a superhero?
Andy? No.
Of course he is.
He's a man with a lot of money.
Hey, don't diss the Batman. The Nolan days can't get any better than that.
Oh no. I mean, as a fictional cartoon character, the movies were brilliant, and I'm actually thinking that the new, the kid from Twilight will be a decent Batman, but he's not a superhero.
I had a good question that annoys people who like comic books on the Nerd Soup podcast. They got asked if you had to permanently retire one film superhero character forever, never allowed to be in another comic or cartoon or book or film.
I would choose all of them.
I picked Spider-Man because he's a noncy little shit.
I mean,
does he actually play around with boys?
Yeah, I just don't like him.
Yeah, I think it's a definition of superhero, right? I mean, if it's in the definition of do they save people and whatever, then yeah. But in the sense of like, is he a Thor, Superman type of superhero? No. Does
he have powers other than driving a really cool car? Does he fly?
He's got the belt.
He kind of flies in. I ain't no nerd. No, I actually.
You're a virgin. I ain't no nerd.
Yeah, we talked about it. I'm a virgin and I'm a geek, but I'm no nerd. And I'm a loser.
Oh, Bale is the best Batman.
Yeah, the best Batman. I stopped watching the Batman movies pretty much after Keaton, so I got to go with Keaton. But
Diane Keaton was Batman.
Diane Keaton she was Batman with tits. Yeah, now all I can think about now is this Arsenal legend and how much how he's going to go on every podcast but ours just because of what
he's essentially going to reach out to Molly to start a podcast with him to spite us.
He's going to go on Lee's new podcast that he's doing now that he's grafted 20,000.
It was fun while it lasted.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry about that. All right. You have 17 red and 17 blue balls, and you remove 2 at a time. If the 2 are the same color, you add in 1 extra blue ball. If they are different colors, add in an extra red ball. What color is the final ball that you remove? Now, look, David, you obviously know about blue balls, for one. But 2, don't be giving me these IQ questions, these brain busters, these math concepts, and expecting me to be stumped. You don't know who you're fucking with, Mr. Tax and Finance dude.
He Googled it.
I did not Google it. I used common sense, which is that you're clearly adding an extra red ball the majority of the time. So you're going to end up with a red ball. Don't I'm not going to say who David works for because that's obviously private, but Dude describes himself as a clever professional with 25 years experience in payments, strategy, risk, and operations. Uniquely skilled in distilling complex subject matter into common sense but innovative strategies, quickly developing adaptive long-term roadmaps for implementation. And I write questions about your mom and your wife switching bodies and having sex with them. So this is our prototypical listener. We love him. We're going to be seeing him soon. But don't try to fool me with these kinds of questions because I shit these kinds of questions out for breakfast. What is your favorite, Andy, non-Arsenal related soccer movie or football movie?
Oh, it's got to be Goal.
Goal?
Yeah.
What is that?
It's the movie about the Mexican kid who goes to play for Newcastle.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't that a trilogy?
Yeah, I never saw the third one. Goal 2 was pretty good because they kind of looped it into Michael Owen going from Madrid to Newcastle, and then he goes to Madrid, and they get like Beckham and all the players to be in it. The first one was excellent. The second one was never saw the third one.
Yeah, Archie, that's the one I'm going with. Victory for me. That was one of the first when I was growing up. My dad, because my parents got divorced, my dad had an apartment. The apartment I later got almost lost my virginity in. But he got HBO, or because we have Danny on the pod, HBO. Because he likes to say H and he has BO. And that was like one of the first movies that was on HBO. It was on all the time, and I loved it. It had, was it Sylvester Stallone? Pele was in it. It was fantastic. Great movie. Danny, you have one of the. Are you going to break the tie, or do you have a third?
Can I have a documentary stroke film to try and make it a three-way?
Anything that you can do to make it a three-way, we're going to welcome.
Two of my friends have gone now, so I'm in no hurry. The noisy twats. He shaked his keys on the way out because Ren is a nonce. Amazing film. I think it was called They Could Be Giants, or They Once Were Giants, about the history of the NASL in America, about when all the famous players and Pele all came over to play in NASL. I could watch that over and over, and just a magnificent. I love old films about NASL.
Yeah, there's a lot of bend it like Beckham in there. I never actually saw that. I didn't really. I didn't want to after, because it's about Beckham. I mean, like if they had a movie called Bend It Like Rooney, I might have to maybe start getting some interest in it. But
have you been able to control yourself after that goal he scored?
I should have been at that game, but yeah, now we just expect him to score from his own penalty area all the time. But if we're going to go documentaries, then The Two Escobars is something you got to watch if you haven't seen it yet, because it was an ESPN production. But The Two Escobars is just fantastic.
I think it's on Netflix at the moment in the UK.
It's awesome, and the Sunderland documentary is great.
Very good.
All of that stuff is good. I know it's not about David. All right, how many chickens, Danny, would it take to kill an elephant? Still, this is still from the mind of the.
Who's this from David?
It's from a man who's uniquely skilled in distilling complex subject matter into common sense. Not so much.
No. So I would say one. It would be a baby elephant, and it would be a prehistoric chicken, those ones that are 14 foot tall with a beak that was 2 foot long. One swipe, dead.
Ooh, all right, Andy. Oh. How many chickens are you going to
I'll take this question as though it is scientific. And
how dare you? What are you implying?
I'm going to say it's going to take at least 47 chickens.
47 chickens. Funnily enough, I have the same answer as Danny, but for a different reason. One chicken, but that chicken would have full-blown AIDS.
unless the chicken went straight down its throat and choked it. It could be any size normal chicken then, wouldn't it?
I'm just assuming that the chicken and the elephant are going to have sex, so the chicken needs to have full-blown AIDS, and then and then the elephant. I mean, it might take a while, but all right. Velociraptor chicken, I think, is what Nikki was trying to say. We have apparently run into Love Island time, so we're losing Archie. I am devastated, Archie. Enjoy. We're almost done. We have about 3 minutes left. Rapid fire. If peanut butter couldn't be called peanut butter, what would it be called? Either of you want to take a stab at that?
Nut butter.
Nut butter? Okay. That's almost the same.
Mm.
I'm looking forward to having some of that at when I'm over next week. Danny, do you want to pass?
Gluten intolerant based poop.
Okay.
That's the colour and consistency of my poop when I used to have a gluten problem, which is now a long distant memory.
Nikki says vomit in a jar. That's a good one. We're gonna go with Viage. Want to have some Viage? All right. Is cereal soup? No, it's not soup. Does anyone think cereal is soup?
But if you leave it long enough, it will turn to soup, won't it?
Well, it turns soggy, but
yeah, I had cereal soup today. I had boulders and crunchy nut cornflakes, and by the end, it looked like soup.
Boulders.
I did chuck a yogurt in on top of it as well because I was feeling extravagant.
The fuck?
All right. Would you rather fight Kolasinac with a hammer or Socrates with a knife? And then he clarifies that you're the one that has the weapons. Danny.
Well, I like both of them. So
This is the clear out. This is the only time we're going to spend this much time on David Ziegler questions, by the way.
I think it would be Kolasinac with an inflatable hammer. Then we both win.
It's inflatable. We both win. All right. Andy, are you done?
I feel like in my mind I would stab Socrates, and then in the movies when all of a sudden the person has superhuman strength and they pull you closer to them to put the knife in further, and then he would then rip my eyeballs out of my head. So I'm gonna go with Danny and say inflatable hammer with the tank.
You were the only one assuming the hammer would be inflatable, but.
As you're stabbing Pappy, would you quickly give Mike a call to come and try and shave him while you finally stab him?
Absolutely. Kill two birds with one stone.
I would bring over a vat of Nair.
Yeah.
Do you know what Nair is, Danny?
I had no idea until I saw it in your charity thing. And I think it's male hair remover, isn't it?
Yeah, we're gonna.
Does it work on heads?
I believe it does, and it works on chins as well. Balls. It works on chins, balls, everything. What I didn't know until I was searching for visuals was that there was a men's cream now. I just always assumed it was in that same pink spray bottle of like puffy liquid that they had back in the 80s when they used to do television commercials. But all right.
When you were listing all the Bo's body parts, how comes the only two body parts you mentioned was chins and balls?
Because that's all we care about. That's what this show is about. Sometimes the two, sometimes ne'er the twain shall they meet, or they do, or whatever. How do you pronounce .gif? Is it GIF, or some other pronunciation?
GIF.
Annie?
It's GIF.
Yeah, I think we're an all GIF podcast here. Yes. No one says GIF. That's peanut butter.
Joe Rogan says GIF.
Yeah, well, that's. Joe Rogan is wrong. I mean, look, Andy's a shit podcaster.
Yeah.
Oops.
No,
he's not. I'm in trouble now. Cross Joe Rogan off the list of people that are coming on.
That's another one who's not coming on.
And the final question, if I went on my neighborhood's message board and asked, what's your least favorite religion and why? How long would it take before the whole place was on fire? Yeah, I don't think that would be a question that you would want to ask in any way, shape, or form. Any comments on that, or should we just end there?
All of them.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? For me, Mike, and I just need to say this because it's from Ziegler, and sometimes you got to read between the lines.
Oh, yes.
So, I've been embraced with a lot of mail sent to my house of various religions. And on
top of these questions, he is also.
I don't know how he does. Like, does he have a job? Is Dave a winner of the lottery where he can just
read his
play pranks on his friends all day?
I just read his resume, and yet he spends 2 hours a day working, and the other 22 hours stuffing the postal service.
So are you saying that he signs you up to all kinds of mail that you don't want?
This week, Danny, Scientology has just started showing up.
Tax-free.
I get some evangelist guy who's telling me that, Safe Haven is on the way. if I give him $77, which is a very specific number.
Did you tell him that's the number that Mkhitaryan won in our Europa League run 2 seasons ago?
Yeah, he sent it back and with that response on it. How did you know that?
Excellent. He found out he's an Arsenal fan, and he's coming to join you two next week.
Have you kept? By the way, have you kept all the? I mean, speaking of mailbags, which this show technically was, have you kept the bag full of all this mail? Because I want to see some of this.
Mike, I haven't. I mean, I do. It is funny.
Thrown it away.
The stuff that comes in, I do typically like throw away. I do open it, but while you're here, we will get some of the mail. I guarantee it. Or we're gonna get a fucking brochure from Branston, somewhere in Iowa, some bullshit hodunk town.
Oh, one of our favorite people's from Iowa. Don't be just besmirching Iowa.
Yeah, but it's not like a good Iowa city. It's some bullshit Iowa city.
What, Branson? Branson's in Missouri.
I don't know where the hell it is.
Well,
Where'd you get that shirt from, Andy? That looks like something you made yourself.
I did.
Is it a knockoff or is it proper equipment?
No, it's a knockoff. My buddy and I made it. I saw it once, I saw one once when the Red Bulls played Arsenal. I was like, oh, I really like that. So I had a buddy of mine make them for me, and then some people wanted them, so I sold them for a short while, and then I was like, I don't have time.
Becca has finally chosen me over you because of your Iowa comment.
Hey, I said bullshit towns in Iowa. There were bullshit towns here in Colorado too.
Yeah,
and
like when you
Thunder Road is saying I have a head like American Dad or Quagmire. Now, I will be the first to admit that Rhodes men have massive heads. I get it, but it's not oddly shaped.
It's called roadhead. That's where the expression roadhead
and like deformed.
I wasn't going to read that because I was trying to protect you from it, but
I don't care.
I forgot that
I'm just saying it's not like it's not like I've got some weird chin that sticks out.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we've reached the natural end of this podcast. I do want to quickly mention again, we will be starting a weekly show previewing Premier League games in sooner than we think. I guess in about a month or so, with Drew and Nate from You Are My Arsenal and from a million other things. Looking forward to that. Danny, will you help make that show famous as well?
When I do our ones, I will say, now go and watch the one on the Gooners podcast with Drew, because Drew knows what he's fucking talking about, and I don't.
Well,
and I'm going to say that on every show.
Nate's not too shabby himself when he's not picking fights like Mike with various people online. So please subscribe on YouTube. If you're listening on iTunes, you know, the visual of this, just today is a perfect example of why you can't just listen. I mean, listen, please. But you got to go on YouTube and watch it because, I mean, you're missing three of the most handsome men.
Apparently, imaginable. One guy's got a fucked up head shape. So,
yeah, with you know, and
what they should do: listen to it on iTunes, watch it on YouTube, then you get it in proper stereo.
The guy who has lost 4.5 out of the 19 stone that he needed to lose so far, and then also we have me. So thank you, Don One. Don One, who's related to Don Juan, says, Mike, you're looking good, buddy. Danny, you look the same as me or also looking good?
I look the same as myself behind you.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Hello.
Have I lined it up? All right. So that's about it. If you're watching this podcast because you were contemplating coming on the podcast as an Arsenal legend, or if you have just committed to giving us media passes, please watch our Alan Smith podcast,
the one podcast,
the other podcasts that we did that are real podcasts. This was just an April Fool's joke. We never do this. So
maybe the title of this should be Name of the Arsenal Player. Do not watch this particular pod. Go to and then provide the link of the actual one we want him to watch.
Whereas the actual name of this podcast is Say Goodbye to Our Body Hair.
If we're going to have the kind of season that everybody thinks we're going to have next season, they'll look back at this podcast as the highlight of the second new season.
Very true.
It's certainly the highlight of my last hour, this podcast. So see those of you in the chat who are going to be on the tour. Looking forward to seeing you. Becca, Mike, Fredo, And of course, you, Andy, and a couple others who said that we'll be in some of the other cities. Next, you will be seeing from us. We will be together in holy matrimony, in holy matrimony. And check out our channel, because in addition to podcasts, there will be some bonus content that we're taping over the next couple of weeks. And if you guys get busy with that Gooners versus Cancer auction at goonerauction.com, there will be some even more good footage on your behalf in your name. So that's about it. Thank you for joining us, Danny.
It's been an absolute pleasure, you cheeky monkeys.
On such short notice, you joined us halfway through the show, and we backdated it to the beginning of the show. And thank you.
Don't give the secrets away.
For saying goodbye and disregarding your mates, and that's about it. I'll see you on Wednesday, buddy. I'll see you in that baggage claim moment of glory that I have planned.
Run to me, my pretty.
All right, come on, you Gooners.